Good morning and welcome to High Voltage on Volt 104.3 FM. Today is Thursday, the 11th day of September 2025. So it looked like just yesterday that we entered September, and today is already 11th. So yesterday I heard a very great news, and it's affecting my morning. My day started very well, and I hope yours is going very beautifully. Okay, my name is Odile, and this is High Voltage, your weekday news analysis show, where we review and analyze the news and issues affecting us as citizens of Nigeria, from politics to education to health, law, security, and other topical stories making rounds in the country. So this morning we'll be looking at this as some of the things that are trending in Nigeria, what people are talking about. But before we do that, you know how we do it. We are going to be taking a look at the newspaper headlines, and of course some of the stories they are trending. And you should be part of this morning's show. You should be part of this show by calling into the studio. You can call us, you can send an SMS, you can send a WhatsApp message, depending on what's more convenient for you. And also, we are live on YouTube. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel on High Voltage News. Like, comment, and share the video so others can be part of this program. All right, so you can call us on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570 8347. Okay, so let's quickly go over the newspaper headlines, and we are starting with this day newspaper. Okay, let's take a look at the top stories, the things that are happening in the country. All right, Enugu wins 100 million naira Model Green State Award as Oluremi Tinubu unveils nationwide RHI Green Nigerian Challenge. The Renewed Hope Initiative Green Nigerian Challenge. So let's see what it's talking about. So Enugu State has won 100 million for being named the cleanest state in Nigeria. So this recognition came from the Renewed Hope Initiative Green Nigerian Challenge. The Nigerian's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, is the one leading this initiative. So the challenge is a nationwide environmental competition meant to encourage families, youth groups, and communities to take part in cleaning, planting trees, and other eco-friendly practices. So at the award event, the wives of the state governors and other dignitaries were present. And the wife of the Enugu State Governor, Mrs. Nkeshiere Mba, received the award on behalf of the state. So to promise that Enugu will keep pushing to remain clean and maintain the reputation. So this is a really very positive story. It shows that the government is paying attention to the environment, and if properly managed, it can create awareness and even jobs in waste management and recycling. But the thing is it going to last? It needs to continue, because when people do good, they need to be awarded continually. So we need to see cleaner streets, reduce flooding, and healthier living conditions in Enugu and beyond. Any states that we go to, it needs to be clean. Okay, so next on it, we have EFCC interrogates Mel Curry over turnaround maintenance of refineries. Okay, and still on this day newspaper, we have another grid failure. NLC demands audit of power sector infrastructure. So yesterday, Nigeria experienced the collapse of the national electricity grid. It threw some states into blackouts. So the Nigerian Labour Congress is now demanding that the federal government should carry out a full audit of the country's power sector infrastructure. So because they argue that billions have been spent on the power sector, yet electricity supply remains very unstable. Okay, so the NLC says that until there is transparency, knowing exactly what has been invested, what equipment is in place, and what is failing, Nigeria will keep experiencing power collapses. and they want accountability from the government this time around and private companies handling power generation and distribution. And of course, yes, we all want accountability, because we are tired of Nigeria and the power. Every now and then we keep hearing that the national grid collapse and it throws some people into blackouts. So it's something that the federal government needs to look into, because we can't be giving lights to other countries, to some other country, African countries, and yet we are struggling with our electricity in our own country. It's not making sense yet. All right, so ADC celebrates as INEC confirms David Mark, the national chairman. The African Democratic Congress, a political party in Nigeria, we know ADC, the new coalition party, is celebrating because the INEC has confirmed the former Senate President David Mark as its national chairman, and also the former Interior Minister Aregbe Sola as National Secretary. So this announcement is big for ADC because these are heavyweights in Nigerian politics. The party also accused the ruling APC of stifling opposition in Lagos. So they further said that INEC is not properly tracking campaign finance, which could affect the fairness of upcoming elections in 2027. So the party believes that having David Mark in leadership will strengthen their chances in both local and the national elections. Okay, so we are moving next to another newspaper, and we have the Punch newspaper. 2027 police INEC move against early campaigns. 2027 the INEC moves against early campaigns. So it's talking about they are warning the political parties and politicians not to begin campaign activities too early ahead of the 2027 general elections. So they are doing this because early campaigning violates the electoral rules and can give an unfair advantage to some politicians. So the commission wants to maintain fairness and order while the police wants to enforce the law. So there are also calls from former election officials for stricter penalty for any party or individual who starts campaigning before the official time. So this warning is important because in Nigerian politics, it often begins with public rallies and other events before the timetable is released. Okay, and it is good, and the election body and the police are showing seriousness about enforcing the rules. But they need to be clear about what exactly counts as early campaigning and apply the law fairly to everyone. And we also, I'm also trying to the police also should try and ensure that they enforce the rules in every other aspect of life, and not just when it comes to election. And there are other cases in Nigeria where the police needs to also enforce rules. Okay, so next on it we have federal government rakes in 600 billion naira VAT from Facebook and others. So the story is about the federal government has collected a large amount of value-added tax from big foreign digital companies like Facebook and several others. So Nigeria has recently been working to increase its non-oil revenue. And one way is to tax digital services like advertising, streaming, and other online products. So the report says that the government has collected about 600 billion naira from these taxes. So it's not yet clear which company beyond Facebook are included and whether the amount covers 1 year or more. But the key point is that Nigeria is now receiving significant income from these online platforms. So it's a positive sign that the government is finding ways to tax digital services fairly, but it must be transparent in how the taxes are calculated and collected and what they are used for. So it's not enough to come to the news and tell us that such revenue amount of money was collected for revenue, and then we do not know what is used for. So it's accountability also matters in this area. All right, next, Tinubu orders fresh push to crash food prices. Tinubu orders fresh push to crash food prices. So this story tells how President Ahmed Bola Tinubu has instructed his government through a special committee to take new and stronger actions to reduce food prices in Nigeria. So we all know that the food prices have been rising sharply, and it has made life hard for many citizens. So the government plan involves improving transport and logistics for farm produce, making it easier and cheaper to move food from farms to markets, and reducing bottlenecks along transport routes. So it's meant to lower the cost of food and also ease the inflation pressures. So the present directive is important because food security is a basic need. Everyone needs food to survive. We need, on a daily basis, we need food. So, but it will take more than just orders to solve the problem. The government must work on storage, they must work on transport, currency stability, and also support for farmers. So if this is not well managed, a push to force prices down could discourage production or have other side effects. All right, so that's Yobe holds mass burial as bandits kill 84. Still on the Punch newspaper, Yobe holds mass burial as bandits kill 84. So this issue of insecurity in Nigeria is something that we keep talking about every day. All right, so we are moving next to the Guardian newspaper. Grid collapse may worsen as Gencos lose 66.26 billion naira, 1,866 megawatts to load rejection. So we already talked about this in the earlier newspapers that we read about the grid, the national grid collapsing yesterday. And so the growing problems in Nigeria's electricity sector, it happens when the national transmission grid fails and power supply cuts off in many places. So generation companies known as Gencos produce electricity, but sometimes the transmission system cannot take it because of the faults of instability or overload. So this is what they mean as the load rejection. So the report says that Gencos are losing about 66.26 billion naira and nearly 1,900 megawatts of power because of this problem. So if nothing is being done about it, the grid collapse could become worse and more frequent, because every now and then we keep hearing it. So when power that has already been produced cannot be transmitted, the businesses and the homes, they are the ones that suffer the blackouts, and the companies that generate the electricity may lose money. So the government and the transmission company need to urgently improve the infrastructure and coordination between generation and transmission. So without proper investment and planning, the losses will continue and Nigerians will keep facing unreliable power supply. All right, so still on the Guardian newspaper, Nigeria records 15,000 suicide cases yearly. Nigeria records 15,000 suicide cases yearly. So yesterday marked September 10th, 2025. It marked the World Suicide Prevention Day. And we see on the record today that over 15,000 people commit suicide yearly just in Nigeria. So this many more attempts are, because you do not report every attempt. There are so many people that have committed suicide, but yet the reports were not did not make the headline. So it shows that attempted suicide is still a crime under Nigeria's colonial era laws. Though they tried to move not to put it under crime, to ensure that the mental health awareness is created in every state, in every level, to ensure that people, the rate of suicide is reduced. Okay, so federal government boasts 80% 2024 budget execution, site procurement orders for 2025. This is the main headline on the Guardian newspaper. Federal government boasts 80% 2024 budget execution, size procurement orders for 2025. Okay, so we are moving next to another newspaper, the last that we have, the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, so we see gunmen kill 3 police officers, 5 soldiers in Kogi and Zamfara states. So the armed attackers have killed 3 police officers in Kogi state and 5 soldiers in Zamfara state. So the police were at their checkpoints when this attack was made, and they lost their life. Unfortunately, they lost their lives. So the police are now looking for the attackers. And in Zamfara state, a convoy that was escorting traders was ambushed along a road from a village to the state capital. So the bandits attacked, and in the fighting, 5 soldiers and several other villagers were killed. So the report says that the locals were traders on their way to the market. So this is a very serious case of violence in Nigeria, that the attackers are able to strike checkpoints and convoys of soldiers, and police shows how insecure some routes are. So it tells both security forces and the civilians. Is affecting everyone. The issue of insecurity is affecting us, and the government really needs, they need to tighten the intelligence and the response time. They need to improve protection of vulnerable areas. We all know where it keeps happening, where we keep reading news that it's a particular place, that particular place. So the security in those localities needs to be tightened. The government needs to do something about it. All right, next, 4 children, 8 others die in tanker accidents. 4 children and 8 adults dies in tanker accidents. This the Daily Trust, and it happened after a gas tanker truck collided with a bus on the Owerri-Onitsha Expressway in Imo State, as reports from the Daily Trust that this happened in Owerri-Onitsha Expressway in Imo State. So the bus was carrying members of from Jehovah Witness Church from Anambra State heading to Agua Village in Imo State. So the tanker was said to have been driving against the flow of traffic when the crash happened. 8 other people were injured. The deceased bodies were taken to the mortuary, and the injured are being treated in a hospital. And the authorities are investigating the whole matter. They are investigating what happened. So this is really a tragic road accident, and driving against traffic is extremely dangerous. There may have been negligence or poor oversight. Also, emergency response and safety on those expressways must be improved. It has to be improved to prevent loss of life, and more enforcement of traffic rules. There has to be public awareness. People need to keep to the traffic rules. People, when you see a red sign, you need to stop. When you see the green light, you can go. But we see so many people on the road with the red sign still on. You are moving, you are driving against the traffic, and these are the things that are causing accidents on the roads every day. So something needs to be done. There has to be better driving training for these people, safer road and vehicles. So the road safety needs to ensure that they take this more seriously. They need to take it very serious to avoid all these deaths that keeps reoccurring. All right, still on the Daily Trust, we see that federal government to arraign 2 captured Ansaru commanders today. Federal government to arraign 2 captured Ansaru commanders today. All right, so, and still on it, early campaign threatens democracy. INEC says early campaign threatens democracy. Okay, so that's what we have on the newspaper headlines this morning. And if remember that if you have a comment, an opinion on what we've read so far, you can call into the studio and let us know what you think. Call us on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570 8347. And remember, we are live on YouTube, so you subscribe to our YouTube channel on High Voltage News. Like, comment, and share the video so others can be part of it. All right, so we are moving. We are looking at what is trending in Nigeria this morning. What are the things people are talking about? What are they talking about? What is going on in the country? Okay, so on the list we have Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Remember, she trended months ago, and recently she's trending again. So let's take a look at what happened. Let me take you back to how it all started, so we can clearly understand how this began, then bring it down to what is happening right now. Okay, so it all began with a very bold and heavy allegation in February 2025. Senator Natasha Akpoti accused the Senate President Godswill Akpabio of sexually harassing her, and that it happened in December 2023. So now let's pause and think. When a senator makes this kind of claim, against the number one man in the Senate, how should that be handled? With full transparency, with fairness, right? But instead, when she submitted her petition, the Senate Ethics Committee threw it out on technical grounds. They said she signed it herself when the rules required another procedure. So I asked, should technicalities be allowed to silence a sensitive allegation like this? Or should the Senate have at least investigated to give Nigerians clarity on what happened? So then came aside that came the issue of a seat in the chamber. Her nameplate was removed. She resisted being relocated, and she was accused of speaking without recognition. So the Senate said she violated its standing orders. But here's another question. Was this about discipline or order in the Senate? Or was it about power play and silencing a voice? It's something we really need to look into. Okay, so by 6th of March 2025, the Senate Ethics Committee presented its report. They recommended the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti for 6 months. So the Senate adopted it. They adopted it, and with that, she lost her salary, her aids, her office privileges, and her security. So we saw that, think about it, when one senator is removed for half a year, that means for 6 months that the people of Kogi Central had no voice in the Senate. And we're asking if that's a democracy, or should the punishment of a senator automatically punish the people who voted for her. So the legal action followed, of course, and the Federal High Court stepped in, saying that Senate rules, which allowed indefinite or overly long suspensions, were inconsistent with the Constitution. So a clear reminder that no arm of government should make rules that silence the people's representatives indefinitely. No arm of government is allowed to silence the people's representatives. It's not supposed to be so. But in the same court process, Natasha herself was found in contempt. She was found in contempt. She was fined 5 million naira over a Facebook post that she made, that the post violated an order. And as well, was ordered to apologize publicly. She was ordered to apologize. So this was a system really focusing on more on disciplining Senator Natasha than resolving the actual issues. Was the balance of justice maintained? Was it really maintained, or just they were just doing things because they had the power to do what they were meant to do? Okay, all right. So in July 2025, even while the suspension still stood, Natasha tried to return to the plenary. She showed up physically, but security operatives blocked her, and the Senate insisted her suspension remained until all court cases were concluded. And here's where I must ask, if the Constitution says every constituency deserves representation, is it right for security operatives to fiscally stop a lawmaker for entering the chamber? Or does that set a dangerous precedent where force replaces dialogue? Does that? So fast forward to September 2025, the 6-month suspension has expired. The time has been done, the punishment has been served. And on September 4th, Natasha wrote formally to the Senate through the clerk saying that my suspension had lapsed and I'm ready to resume my duties. But what happened next? In a formal democracy, that should be straightforward. You serve your suspension, you return to work, right? But the Senate replied through the acting clerk, Dr. Yahaya, that she cannot resume yet. And we are asking why, because they said because her case is still in the Court of Appeal. So let's ask, if a suspension was clearly defined to last 6 months, does an appeal automatically extend it? Should the Senate wait for a court ruling that has not even come yet? Or should they allow her back until a court says otherwise? Let's hear what you think about this whole issue. Call into the studio and let us know. And so there has been political reactions. It has been loud. Some of our party, the PDP, says that it is nothing short of a fresh assault on democracy, and that by denying Natasha entry, the Senate is denying our constituents a voice. So the ADC also stepped in, calling the continued obstruction malicious, even injuries to democracy. So there are so many voices coming out to oppose this. So is the Senate protecting the law by keeping her out? Or are they overreaching and holding on to power fairly? So when we look ahead, the Senate resumed from recess on September 23rd, 2025. And Natasha's legal team says everything is ready. Our return is in order. But the Senate leadership is standing firm. Until the Court of Appeal rules, she remains suspended. So if the Senate believes the matter is still legally alive, why not publish a case study, a case status openly? Why not publish it? Let Nigerians see the filings, the motions, the orders. That way, nobody accuses them of hiding behind court case to silence a senator. So they could also allow this resumption, let us sit, but subject to the court's outcome. That way, our people are not voiceless. Because democracy is not just about the rules. It is also about perception. And right now, the perception is that Natasha is being politically silenced. So for political parties, whether in power or opposition, this is a test. Will they protect institutional integrity or just play politics? Because today it is Natasha, tomorrow it could be someone else. So should the Senate, what do you think? Should the Senate word be enough to keep a senator out? Or should only a clear-cut order do that? And for the people of Kogi Central, do you feel they've been left voiceless, or do they deserve better? So for women in politics, what signal does this send when a female senator raises harassment allegations and the outcome is suspension and prolonged blockage even after time served? So it's something that needs to be looked into. Just one woman out of 4 in the Senate. Because we only have 4 women in the Senate, and 1 out of them who is outspoken. They're trying to silence our voice through their actions because of the power that they have. So what do you think about the story of Natasha? What's currently going on? Call us on 0706 048 5853 or 0915 570 8347 and let us know what you think about it. And again, we're moving on to another. We are still talking of what is trending, and on the list also we have Charlie Kirk. We have the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Yesterday, it's a world-breaking news, and we saw that Trump also made a news about it this morning. So he was shot while talking about gun violence. Imagine when you are talking about gun violence and then someone uses the gun against you and shoots you to death. So this story, we are looking into it. Who was Charlie Kirk? Who was him? So he was born in October 14, 1993, and died yesterday. He was just 31 years. He was 31 years old, and he was a right-wing political activist and media personality, the co-founder of Turning Point USA in 2012, a conservative group focused on students and young people. So this political involved with other organizations like the Turning Point Faith. So he was known as a very outspoken supporter of Donald Trump. He was very outspoken about it. He supported Donald Trump, and then he promoted. So this must have caused the reaction, because we all know not everybody likes Donald Trump. And when you come out to publicly declare that I support this person, you become a threat to so many people. And this is USA, where so many people are allowed to hold guns, carry guns, and there's been a lot of violence in the country, where people are just come out. You hear of mass shooting in schools and in different places. They just go to a school, they start shooting, open shooting, and so it's happened to affect this particular person. So he promoted free speech, and also especially in college campuses, and also religious and Christian conservative ideas. So he had oppositions to some forms of immigration, gender ideology, and also general conservative cultural issues. So he was also criticized by opponents for spreading or endorsing controversial or conspiracies on topics like the legitimacy of the 2020 elections, the COVID-19 misinformation. So this outspoken person must have triggered a lot of people. He must have triggered a lot of people to have caused these deaths. So what exactly, why was he killed, and how was he killed? What happened? So the Charlie Kirk was shot while speaking at Utah Valley University in Utah during an event on September 10, 2025. So the event was part of his American Comeback Tour, under his signature format, Prove Me Wrong, where he would engage with students. So he was answering a question about transgender people and mass shooting when a single shot struck him in the neck. So the shot appeared to have come from a rooftop, or from a location some distance away from the stage, about 200 yards away, in the building called the Losse Center. He was taken to a hospital in critical conditions and later died from his injuries. So the authorities, they consider this a politically motivated killing, often described as a political assassination. So there was description of a person of interest dressed in dark tactical clothing, firing from a distance. So however, as of the latest sources, the shooter had not been positively identified or arrested in connection with matching the description that was given. So they are yet to find the person that killed this man. They are yet to identify anybody. So the motive, we do not know the motive yet. It is not fully established. We don't really understand exactly why this man was killed. A 31-year-old man with a family, with two children, two young children, and a wife, was just shot openly yesterday in America. And it's something that the government of they really need to, because it's something that keeps reoccurring almost every time. Mass shootings and all that. So there's no confirmed public motive. The investigations are ongoing. The police are investigating the whole matter. They really want to know what exactly triggered this person to kill this man. So the political content and context of the event suggests that his public profile and political activism likely played a role. So it might have been something that led to it. So the turning point, let's look at the key political activities he was known for. The Turning Point USA and related organizations. So he founded the Turning Point USA as a youth-oriented conservative student activism group, which expanded to many colleges and college campuses. So 2024 USA also formed the US presidential election efforts. So through the Turning Point action, he played a role in mobilization of young voters for Donald Trump, especially in swing states. So he also made the campus tour and speaking engagements. He traveled widely, speaking on campuses, holding events, debates like Prove Me Wrong debates with students on topics like gender ideology, the free speech, the immigration, and so on. So he was a prominent voice in conversations over free speech and the gender identity, Christian conservative values, criticism of what he saw as left-leaning ideologies in academia, opposition to certain progressive policies. So he was a media personality. He held podcasts, public speaking, social media, and he was an author. So he built a large following among the conservative youth. So his death was a really sad one, as we believe he was a public target. As a strong supporter of Donald Trump, he was a public target, and unfortunately, his life has been lost. And we grieve with the family. Is a really sad thing that is happening in the world, around the world. It's very sad that something like this happened. Okay, so that's the story of Charlie Kirk, the USA citizen who supports Donald Trump. All right, so still on what is trending, what are people talking about? We have on our list as well, we have the national grid, the collapse of the national grid. We know we've already talked about it on the newspaper headlines. We've already read stories about this, and it's something that we keep seeing every now and then. Imagine coming back from work and then you hear that the national grid collapsed, and then there's blackout in your home. You don't have light, and you are forced to use other alternatives like buying fuel and using solar. This is what keeps happening in Nigeria. This is like the third or the fourth time is happening in 2025, and it's something that they really need to look into, because why does it keep happening? Why is it that this thing is the government has not found solution to ensure that the national grid does not keep collapsing? Because once it collapses, it leaves some people in darkness. And the cost of darkness is very, very high. It's very high, and honestly, it's not something we want to keep experiencing every now and then. It's not something we want to keep experiencing as a nation. So today the grid collapse, tomorrow we fix it, the next month you also hear the story of the national grid collapsing. So a lot of people are coming out to oppose the whole thing. There are reactions on social media from people who are like, it's not looking like everyday activity every day. So it keeps going on and off. The national grid, electricity grid, it keeps going on and off. So the thing is that the history of the national grid is very old, like over 40 years in part. So since 2010, the grid has collapsed more than so many times. So some years is first 10 times, others even more. So it has been, so instead of solving the root problem, sometimes we just patch, we talk, we set up committees, but the cycle continues. It collapses, blackout, the blame game, then silence until the next collapse. So how many times should a nation keep repeating the same mistakes before it learns? Is our grid failing because it's too old, or because our leaders do not want to fix it? So people are going because of these businesses, because it's affecting businesses, it's affecting organizations, it's affecting all this little and big. So because when there's darkness, it causes you to spend money, a lot of money on fuel, so you have electricity in your workplace, so you can be able to use it, because you cannot do a lot without electricity. You cannot do a lot. So businesses spend huge amounts running on diesel generators and all that. So there's a lot of money on a daily basis. You are spending a lot just because Nigeria, the federal government, has refused to fix these problems that are ongoing, that keeps happening every day. So, and also, it's not just about the businesses. Nigeria on its own loses over $29 billion every year because of poor electricity supply. So because of this, we generate revenue from one side and we are losing from the other side. So it's that's why we keep asking, what is the money being generated? What is it used for? What is the government using it to do? Because when one comes in, the other side, the money is losing. So why can't they fix the electricity to stop it from collapsing every now and then? What can be done about this? Because when you say the grid collapse, it's not just about the lights going out. It's about the money that was lost. Because a lot of people, how much do you spend on generator? How much do you spend on fuel every week? On buying petrol every week because of this electricity supply in the country. So many things are not working properly. There are so many things not working. So the government agencies needs to do something and not just giving statements whenever it collapses. They come out to give us statements. No, we want results. We want results. We want solutions to all these problems that are ongoing in the country. They should fix the electricity sector, the power sector. They should fix it. And he made some of the comments were like, how will you put the Minister of Power and is someone that studied accounting and nothing related to engineering? How does he know what to do in that sector? So some people raised the concerns. How do you put someone that you do not know is capable of this particular job? So some of them are linking it to the minister. Like you are not in full charge. You do not really understand what is going on in this sector. And you are made a minister over it. You studied accounting. You are not, we are not there to manage books. You are there to ensure that electricity supply is all over the country, that nothing goes wrong with it. So the citizens are asking they are pleading, asking the government to look into it. We don't want to keep hearing stories like this every day. We do not want to keep hearing about it every now and then. So something really needs to be done about it. Because we can't be spending every day on petrol. We can't be spending money on petrol every day. Because aside the collapse, the grid collapsing, how long does the light stay? How long does electricity stay in our homes, in our establishments? How long does it stay? Must we spend money, more money? Because we still pay the power suppliers, we still pay them and still go out there and buy petrol to ensure that there's light, there's electricity in our homes. So it's something that they need to look into. It doesn't really make sense. So this week, today, we've talked about some of the things that are trending in Nigeria and beyond. We talked about the Senator Natasha Akpoti situation. And also we talked about the shooting, the death of Charlie Kirk in USA. And the collapse of the national grid. And also, so it has... so far, it's something that all the situations the federal government needs to look into, the Natasha Akpoti situation and also the collapse, the electricity supply in Nigeria. All right, so I leave you with this. In the case of Natasha Akpoti, is will Nigerians demand fairness, or are we going to fold our hands while technicalities and power plays erode our democracy? So it's something we need to look into. And as we come to the end of the show this morning, we are asking ourselves these questions. What are the governments doing to ensure that things are working properly in various sectors of the country. Something we need to keep talking about. We need to ensure that we keep asking the questions, and no matter how long, we keep talking and ensuring that the government will give us something positive, a response that is positive. Remember, this is High Voltage, and if you missed any part of the show, go back to our YouTube channel on High Voltage News, play the video, subscribe, like, comment, and share the video for others to also learn what is happening in the country. It's been an amazing time with you this morning. The show holds every Mondays to Fridays by 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we hope to see you again tomorrow, be with you tomorrow by 9 a.m. Thank you for being part of this program. Thank you for joining High Voltage on Volt 104.3 FM. My name is Odili.